Alrighty, so the international break has officially kicked off, which means there is no more league football now for about 2 or 3 weeks. So within this time space, I think it's a good idea for us as Preston North End fans to probably look at what we've done so far this season and reflect on it and what's going wrong and what's going right as well, because we have got a lot right, and I will be discussing what's right and what's wrong, but mainly what's wrong, because I'm picking out quite a couple of negatives here, and I don't want to sound like a fucking whinger or a twat when I'm saying this, but I'm going to be completely honest. We have more problems than we have good things, because everything that was good is now starting to fade. So we're going to take a look at our start to the season, as well as our finish to the season, I should say, where we've stopped now for international break, and we're going to see exactly what's gone wrong, because like I said, there's a lot wrong. So of course we started 0-0, 0-0, that doesn't count. 1-0, 0-0, 0-0, that doesn't count. 0-0, 1-0, 1-0, didn't play. 1-1, 2-0. So as you can see, there's a lot of 0-0s, and we all know that, and then there's the occasional 1-0 sprinkled in until we dropped our form against Birmingham, who flipped the scoreline. And this is where things started to go a bit shaky. I mean, of course, Burnley and Sheffield are fantastic teams, they're great opponents, and they're very difficult, and you'd expect to lose, but that's no excuse, because we was playing decently all the way through. And I don't know, apologies for the quick cut, what was I saying? So Burnley and Sheffield, fantastic teams. We weren't the favourites to win regardless of what the outcome actually was, so I'm more impressed we actually managed to draw against Burnley. But a team like Birmingham, you are the favourite to win, and when you're the favourite to win, you often lose in the case of Preston, and that was the case. And that was one of our worst performances, if you ask me. Sheffield was again another poor one in the second half. But where it went wrong, in my opinion, not only comes from the lineup, but also the style of play that we're going for. Because if you look at what we've got now compared to last season and a few seasons ago, for example, you're going to see a lot of differences, mainly up front, and that's where I think it's going wrong. Well, of course it's going wrong up front, there's no goals, but you get what I'm trying to say. So if we take a look at the current formation, obviously the back is fine. I have no problems with the defence. Ryan Lowe's brick wall worked perfectly for a few weeks. Of course, the wall got shattered recently, but I do think that international break will be a period of reflection, and this can be built upon again. But the midfield is being changed almost every game, and that's a problem. And then the two up front that we have, there's also a big problem there. So we'll start with the midfield. I don't know why the favourites to be changed on the starting lineup sheet is always McCann and Fernandez. Brown and Potts will basically always start, and if it's not Brown, it's DJ, or both. And if it's not McCann, it's DJ, for example. Or Fernandez, it's Brady, and it has been Brady. It was a bit strange that he was started on the bench for this game, because that's quite unusual, but it sort of makes sense, I suppose. So here in the middle, obviously Potts has his own quality, Fernandez was fantastic, and McCann's fantastic. These are our two most creative players. They're brilliant. Whereas Potts follows a simple structure, which usually works, usually doesn't, and he's not afraid to come out of his shell and have his own go. But with Brown, I don't know, he's not exactly... You remember Brown from a few years ago, he was fantastic, he was all over the pitch, doing everything he could in his power. Brown now looks a bit lazy, and that's the lack of a better term, because he's not lazy, he'll make his runs, and he'll do this and he'll do that, but when it comes to movement with the ball, and moving the ball, he's very bizarre in how he functions, because he'll get the ball and he'll stop, and then he'll run again for about 3 seconds and then pass the ball. And oftentimes it's not a good pass, or if he passes first time, it's not very good. But then when he attempts to play a longer ball, or he actually runs through, he actually sometimes has a shot and it's on target. So Brown could be a midfield striker, or not an attacking midfielder, sorry, I don't know where the hell that lingo came from. He's more of an attacking midfielder, one that likes to push. However, when it comes to controlling a midfield and opening up opportunities for other people, recently he's not been great at that. And Whiteman's the same. Whiteman used to be fantastic, but recently he's just been another one of those standstill pass and hope for another play kind of guy. He'll make the challenge, and the challenges are very good, because they usually result in us winning back possession and he avoids a card. But if he's just there for the sake of a challenge, then why is he even there? Why not? Of course it's a 3-4-1-2, but at this point you may as well just play a 4-4-2. Because Whiteman being there doesn't do much because of how much he's out of his position anyway. But then, the way that Whiteman will interact with these four is limited, And the two at the front, Reece last season, of course, 20 goals last season, fantastic effort. And you can't shrug that off because there's probably a chance it wasn't a fluke, but it's just maybe a slow start to the season. But I think he's finding it hard to find where he fits in with the new bunch, because last season we didn't play the magic cross with Brady or the attacking midfielder with Fernandes. We sort of just played more of a through ball or made a cross from the wide area. We didn't make a cross into the middle, and I don't know if he's ready to take the cross in or not. But then the thing is with his runs as well, he's not a very active striker. Look at the likes of, say, Harry Kane from Tottenham and Son. Those two will go the distance themselves and they'll make that effort. Or Rashford with Man United at the moment, maybe Sancho as well as an example. Any other Premier League examples we've got? Salah makes a lot of runs, but I think he's a bit off form, a bit unlucky at the moment. Haaland, fantastic example. Sorry, I don't know why it took me so long to get there. But with Haaland, he'll make those runs by himself, but then he'll also keep himself distant in the back area where he knows he needs to be if there's going to be like something with receiving a ball. He'll camp out one spot where there's a bit of space. He'll make himself known, and when the ball is played, he will make that move. And if he gets that ball, he's having a go. And even if he doesn't get the ball, he'll try and get the ball and then have the goal as well. Haaland is hungry for goals, and it's all the mentality game with being a striker. Of course, I don't know that. I'm not a professional footballer, but as far as I can tell, it's mentality. Because if a defender can score just by wanting to have a go, why can't a striker? When Potts did that goal against Luton, he didn't even know he jumped that high. He just said, fuck this, I'm going to have a go. It's all just mentality. It's all braving the shot. Leap of faith sort of thing. And this is what these two boys don't do. Parrott takes so long before he has a shot. He'll run and he'll run and he'll run until he's in the box, and then he stops to try and take a shot. But by then he's crowded by 3 defenders and he can't get his shot off. But with Reece, he'll run in, he'll run in, he'll run, and then he'll hit the ball when it's too late because he'll hit the side of the netting or it's just not on target at all. And I don't know why we play, and this is another thing as well, big problem. We play so wide, so wide, and it does not work for us. I don't know why our first instinct is to just cut around the edges of the pitch when we can just go forward. Because as far as I can see, of course, there's loads of space down either wing, but getting that ball back to the middle to have a shot that's very fucking difficult, because you got to either play a ball through the floor, which can be easily intercepted, or play a cross, which might not be so easily headed. It's a gamble. It's a complete gamble to play out wide with this team, because we've got great crossers, but the finishing is very limited and very reserved at the moment, and no one's willing to just have a go. But of course, when you see them play out wide, they'll go for the header or they'll go for the volley first time. But of course, as we can see, it's not got no success. So why don't we try what Alvaro was doing against Sheffield, which was actually running through the middle and breaking apart the defence. Alvaro cut through every last one of that. Every last player in the midfield for Sheffield, he cut through, came to the defence and even got past the defence. Alvaro just wasn't willing to take the shot, which he should have done. I don't know why he didn't shoot, because he's got a great foot. He really could have shot that ball, but he didn't. So that was very strange how he had such a fantastic run and ruined it at the end. But like I said, with the case of Reece and Parrott, they seem to be all over the pitch. They'll swap places sometimes. They'll just run around in any blank area and hope for the best. But that's not how it works. You got to help each other out. It's a team game. Instead of standing still and playing a long ball, why don't we all move a bit more, find space for each other, and cut through the defence smartly instead of trying to run through 3 people at once. Find the gap, run through the gap, be on the other end of the gap to help out, and then play the assist. It doesn't matter if you don't score, as long as the team is scoring, that's all that counts. And instead of overthinking the shot, just have a go. Just hit the ball and hope for the best. You don't need to be flashy, you don't need to look great when you finish. A goal is a goal. Points are what we need, not highlight reels. Yeah, that's the end of that's just that. It's simple as that. That's all. That's literally the problem. It got to the point where we had to bring Sean Maguire on, and we never thought we'd see Maguire on this early in the season, but we had to. That's how. It's not a desperation, more a use of fresh legs, if anything. But it's still strange to see that Maguire did more movement towards the box to have a shot than Reece and Parrott did all game combined. And on the topic of Parrott as well, I think like he never gets changed. He's always in the starting 11, and if he does get subbed off, it's always within the last 10. Why? If this guy's not influencing the game at all, get him off. You're fine enough taking off McCann and Fernandez, who have influenced the game massively, but you won't take off someone who's had no influence. And you can't use the excuse because he's not seen the ball, because he does see the ball. The only problem is, when he gets the ball, he's too far up the midfield to get to his position, and by the time he gets to his position, it's been taken off him, because he's all over the pitch. And that's not what we need. We need someone who's camping out the good area and knowing when to come to the midfield to help. That's what that's about. But Parrott just doesn't seem all there. There must be a clause on the contract saying that we have to play him 80 minutes again, and he must be in the starting 11. But it's bollocks. Regardless, it's not working. This partnership is not working. They do not know each other. They probably don't even know each other's names. They don't communicate. There's something going wrong. You'd think with the Irish boys, with Brown and Brady, they'd know how to behave with Parrott. I mean, fair enough, Brady's been out for a while, but Brown would know how to behave. He'd have an idea of what to do, I suppose. But he just doesn't. He doesn't seem to be there. And Brady's learning his team. Brady's now on international break with Parrott and Brown, so hopefully that a bit of chemistry's formed there. And I don't like using chemistry as a term because it reminds me of FIFA. But it's as simple as that. Let's go back to last season, right? We had a slow start to the season. We lost 4-1 opening day, then 2-1, and then 1-0. 3 losses in a row, then a win, and then a win, and then a draw. That win against Swansea, fair enough, 3-1, good win. Who scored? Where are we? Reese, Ledson. Why did I say Ledson? Reese, Whiteman, and Vandenberg. They were our scorers there. Maguire played up front. Obviously, Reese last season was a different beast. Whiteman last season was a different beast, and Ledson was more of a defending midfielder, if anything. He still is, to be honest. So I can understand why he'd get the card. I've just waffled that point because I forgot what I was saying. I keep saying Ledson instead of Vandenberg. I keep looking at this arrow. And Vandenberg, I don't remember the goal, but as a defender mainly, that's fine enough. Oh, it shouldn't have done that. Oh, damn it. But you get the point. We had a few goals coming in, but not long before, you look at games like Blackpool, we lose 2-0. We beat Luton 2-0 somehow. Bournemouth, we win 2-1 away. Nottingham Forest beat us 3-0. Cardiff 2-1. It was a very mixed reception of results, and that's the best way to describe it. But then everything changed when we come to the 5th of February 2022, when we played Hull. And we introduced a new individual to our starting lineup, and that was Mr. Cameron Archer. And I don't want to have Archer living in my head rent-free with the assumption that he's coming back, because he's not. Archer's not coming back, and if he does, it'll be in the winter. But Gerrard seems so reluctant to let him go, despite not even using him. So it's strange why he's not letting him go, because it's just a waste of a young talent. He's not even being played anymore. But this man changed fucking everything at this time. Because not only, obviously, of course, he scored on his debut, but he and Reese, they worked together so well. They would pass with each other. They wouldn't be afraid to pass back. And of course, Archer took the shot. That is the most important part. It's in his name, Archer. He took the shot, and it was always or mostly on target. Archer's a fucking natural talent. He's fantastic. And this midfield aided both of them fantastically because Whiteman knew what he was doing. McCann, when he did get the minutes, was very influential. Brown was great at the time as well, and Potts was doing really well at this point as well to do some good crosses in. It was controlled. The next game was 0-0, fair enough, but then against Peterborough, I remember this game, Archer scored again, the only one on the score sheet. And bear in mind, this was when we had the defence wasn't awful, but it wasn't fantastic either because Josh Earl's crap. Lindsay at the time was crap. Vandenberg was probably the only, and maybe Bauer, because Hughes didn't look fantastic last season either. He was okay, I suppose, all around, but Bauer and Vandenberg were the only two influential ones at the back. Of course, Reading beat us 3-2, but have a guess who scored again? Archer. And then we come to our next game. 0-0, Coventry 1-1, double red card. Who scored for us this time? Johnson. Oh yeah, I remember this game with a penalty very late. That their goal was bullshit, and I still stand by that. But Lindsay got a red card because he's a fucking liability. That's what I mean about him being shit last season. Bournemouth, who scored? Archer and Reese as well. 0-0. We don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. And guess who scored against the Blackpool Shite on a Tuesday night? Cameron Archer. QPR. Cameron Archer. You see what I mean? Preston and Millwall. Oh, an on goal, that one. Yeah, that's right. Blackburn, it was Alan Brown who scored that game, yeah. Barnsley, 3 goals. It were Johnson and Reese. Obviously, Archer towards the end of the season he didn't sizzle out, but Blackpool were his last big bang because he didn't score again after that. But that's the point that I'm trying to make. Archer was all over the place. He was scoring goals left, right, and centre. He was having all those shots. He was dominant up front. And that's what I mean. That's what you need in a striker. You need them to take the shot. You need them to hit the ball. And that's what these boys don't do. They seem to get closer and closer until it's too late. You don't need to get that close. Have a go. Doesn't matter if you miss, if it's off target, or if it's saved. Because if it's saved, it's probably a corner anyway. And if it's even if it's going back for a goal kick, our defence is good enough to defend the counter-attack in place. It was saying that our counter-attack defence isn't that fantastic, but the defence in general is fine. No, the people that are coming backwards, fine, fair enough. But that midfield, by the time the ball's moving forward, we should be able to get back in control of the ball and then put it forward again. But the problem, like I said, with the strikers, Troy Park's 1v1 game is awful. Reese is still trying to find his footing with the new lads, and the new lads they're settling in, but they're not finding the place yet because the play is so inconsistent in the midfield in terms of who's starting. So no one's got an idea of what to do, and the training ground must be completely different to what's being done in the match. Let me take you all back to 2-2 Sunderland in 2017. Jordan Hugill, Josh Harrop, Tom Barkers and Sean Maguire. 4 up front options. Barkers, of course, a bit of a liability, he's always injured. Maguire at the time was fine enough. Josh Harrop was great and Jordan Hugill fucking fantastic. But Johnson and Brown at this time, absolute peak of their career if you ask me. They were both fantastic all season. The back line was more to be desired. Of course, we had some great names in there, Ben Davies and Paul Huntington. Donnell Fisher and then Josh Earl. Actually, no, we don't talk about Josh Earl or this cunt, but you get the point I'm trying to make. The up front option, they had attacking written in their DNA. Reese wants to attack and Parrott wants to attack, but they don't know how to attack. So that needs to be worked on exponentially. But just you watch, Troy Parrott's going to go away now on the Irish camp for the next 2 weeks and he's going to score 3 goals. That's just how it is usually, but to put it one way or another, the problem mainly comes in the attacking. We're not having a shot. You can't score a goal if you don't hit the ball. It's as simple as that. And the midfield as well, it's so inconsistent in who's being played that we can't formulate a proper plan with each other. It's not consistent enough. That's what I mean. You can't go from 1 week playing Ledson and Brown to then playing Johnson and Brown to then playing Ledson and Johnson to then playing Alvaro and Johnson. You get what I mean? The same names are in there every now and then, but if they're constantly changing, how are they going to know what to do with each other? Because there's so much inconsistency in what's going on, and they can't formulate enough time with each other to get things done because the training ground's completely different to the pitch. Simple stuff, really. I don't know why they can't see it if we can all see it, but they're the main problems going with Preston at the minute. Of course, the manager definitely has not been backed, no matter what Rizdale says. Manager not been backed, and that's a different story for a different day. But for the most part, even with the signings that we've got, we need to make it work because we can make it work. There's a lot of quality on the team. However, when they're not working with each other, how are they supposed to score goals and how are they supposed to, win games? It's a team sport. We need to work together and understand each other perfectly. Again, flashback a few years ago, the Irish lads on the squad: Alan Brown, Sean Maguire, Callum Robinson, 3 boys within the same international teams that understood each other. They understood each other. They spent time with each other to understand each other and how they play and how to help each other. These boys don't know how to help each other. They don't know how to make a forward play, and Parrott is reluctant to shoot. Reese, by the time he finds the ball, is too far out to make an impact on goal. It's so scrambly the further up we get up the pitch, and that's the big problem. And even when we get up the pitch, we still slow down and stop. Just keep running and have a go. That's why great partnerships like Son and Kane, Mane and Salah last season, fucking Neymar, Messi and Mbappe, that's why these partnerships work. Of course they're big names, but this is why they work. De Bruyne and Haaland, this is why they work. They understand each other, they know how to play with each other and how to help each other. The key word is help. These boys don't help each other. They leave each other to fend for themselves until someone else can swoop in and steal the glory. You need to give each other a hand, and I'll stop there because I've been rambling for too long now, but that's the point I'm trying to make. That is Preston's big problem, and I hope it's addressed during this international break, and by the time we get back it can be fixed, because our next fixtures, Sunderland's going to be a tricky one for sure. West Brom's a hard game, Norwich is a very difficult game, Stoke and Huddersfield are a bit wishy-washy. It's 50-50. And then we've got a derby on the 22nd, so shit needs to be sorted and fast. Because if we get a poor result in this derby, and then again at Blackburn, and mixed results across the board here, come Christmas time, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, table-wise, and recruitment-wise, and job-wise. So it needs to be sorted and fast. We've played our part, now it's time for them to play their part and deliver us what they promised. Thanks for listening in. Apologies if I've been going on for too long and you got bored. I understand if you clicked off, but if you're still here, cheers for that. And I'll find some more things to push out during international break. It's a bit difficult to find stuff, so I'll maybe talk about our history a little bit. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But anyways, cheers guys.